Hare Krishna, bem-vindo à nossa aula de domingo. Já estamos nos... English, sorry, it was Portuguese. I was speaking Portuguese. Welcome to our Sunday Bhagavatam class. It's February 2nd, 2020, believe it or not. And today we're going to read from the Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 5, text 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, 1.5.12. Naishkarmyamapi achuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alang niranjanam Kudak punak shasara bhadram isharena charpitam karma jarapya karanam. So, here is a very strong statement affirming that even impersonal state of giving up material activities and in some impersonal way or some godless way, trying to avoid material life and all that, still does not really bring one to the most beautiful consciousness, really. So Prabhupada translates this verse as follows. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if those activities are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? So Prabhupada says, as referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject of impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of devotional service. What to speak of ordinary fruitive work. So let's look at the Sanskrit closely, which, as you know, is what I like to do. So Naishkarmyam api. Api means even, like even this. And Naishkarmya, of course, comes from the word nishkarma. Nish means without. And and without karma. In other words, even an activity which is not ordinary karma. One could take this, Prabhupada translates it as self-realization, being freed from the reactions of fruitive work. So that's Naishkarmyam. So even that, Achyuta bhava varjitam, if it is devoid of varjitam, achyuta bhava, a feeling, a conception. Bhava, from the verb to be, means sort of a state of being, and it can refer to a mental state, an emotional state, as sometimes ecstasies are described as bhava. So it can be a mental state, an emotional state, or a conceptual state of understanding. So some kind of state of being, mental or emotional or conceptual. So achyuta bhava varjitam can mean devoid of feeling for achyuta, devoid of, as Prabhupada says here, the conception of achyuta and so on. In other words, there's just no Krishna consciousness. And so the Bhagavatam says, na shobhate. Literally, it doesn't shine, as Prabhupada says here in his translation, does not look well. Does not look well. It's from the verb shub. It's from the verb shub. For example, shubha or subhadra, and so on. And so the verb here means to beautify, embellish, adorn, beautify oneself, look beautiful or handsome, shine, be bright or splendid, so it doesn't shine, it's not bright, it's not beautiful, it doesn't enhance your life, it doesn't make your life beautiful. All those things, that's the verb. The verb is shub. Sorry, it's not subhadra, that's a different verb. Forget that. Shubha, shobha, and so on. So nashobate, it doesn't shine, it's not beautiful, it doesn't make your life great. So nashobate jnanam alang niranjanam. It doesn't really make your life beautiful or wonderful, even if it is jnanam niranjanam. So this is kind of a synonym in a sense, or getting at the same point of naishkarmyam. Niranjanam can mean like without any stain, without any mark. Prabhupada says here, free from designations, which is a very good translation. Free from designations, which is his translation of Anjana. Anjana, oops, I was going to tell you what Anjana literally means here. It literally means, could be many things, but actually the word Anjana, it can mean like a stain. It's used in that famous verse, Oma Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. So using sort of like this dark ointment to open the eye. It sometimes would translate, you open my eyes with the torch of knowledge. It's actually not the torch, it's actually Shalaka. Jnananjana Shalakaya. Shalaka is actually like a, well, what we nowadays call like a Q-tip or a little, little thing that you use. So, and then Anjana is the ointment, the dark ointment. So Anjana can also mean like a stain, because, this Anjana, this dark or black ointment can also, it stains everything. So near Anjana means without the stain, without any impurity in that sense. So these words have different meanings, but I think you understand it. So here it says jnana, which is niranjana, which has no stain on it, which Prabhupada translates it free of designations, a stain being so-called awareness or consciousness, which involves some kind of material concept. So the first two lines say that if you have no feeling for achyuta, if you have no concept of achyuta, the infallible Lord, the Lord literally, chut means to slip or fall. So the Lord who never slips, who never makes a mistake, who never falls, who's infallible, that's achyuta. So even if someone attains a state of naishkarmya where you're really conscientiously avoiding, let's say, gross material activities, but still, if you don't have a concept of the infallible Lord or feeling for Krishna, it doesn't look very good. It's not going to make your life beautiful. It's not going to really shine. It's not impressive. It's a way of saying, not impressive. And even if you have knowledge which is free of any stain of material designations, like you're not in the bodily concept of life. So that's the first two lines. Then kutak punak, which means what again, or what to, that's in Sanskrit sort of how you say what to speak of or not to speak of. Like if that doesn't work, then how much worse is what's going to come next. So kutak punak, so what to not to speak of, what to speak of, shashvara bhadram ishware nacharpitam karma, what to speak of, something which is always inauspicious. Because you could say, okay, some level of spiritual knowledge, even if it doesn't involve love of God, it's still some kind of attainment. It's some kind of understanding. But then what about something which is always abhadra, which is always abhadra? And of course, that which is always abhadra just tell you quickly how Abhadra is translated. Bhadra, of course, means auspicious. So Abhadra means inauspicious, even mischievous, something which is just not for the good. And this is the word I meant before, like Krishna's sister, Subhadra. Su means very, very Bhadra, very auspicious, very virtuous, very good in every way. So this is Abhadra, Shashwat, always. Something which is constantly, always inauspicious. So, which is, of course, karma, in the last line, Kutak Punak Saswat Abhadram Ishwarena Charpitam Karma. Arpita means offered, to offer something. The word is arpanam, which means an offering, as in the Bhagavad Gita 4:24. Krishna says, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir. That's the verse in the Gita 4:24, where Krishna explains how everything that's offered to him becomes spiritualized, like food or water or your life. So the word for offering is arpanam, and here we have the word arpita, na cha arpita. Cha means and not offered. So not to speak of karma, activities that are not offered to the Lord and are always inauspicious. They never really bring you to where you want to go. So kutak punak saswat abhadram ishwarena charpitam, activity karma not offered to the Lord, ishwara, jadapya karanam, even if you're performing those activities akaranam. Karana means a cause, akarana means without a cause. It's the same as a hetu or a haituki. You may have heard of a haituki bhakti. So when activity or action is called causeless, it means motive, no mental cause or motive. There's no material motive. You just did something without a material motive. But still, if it's not offered to the Lord in any way, it has no spiritual purpose. Let's say you're just acting, to use the common word, selflessly, like you're doing some kind of charity, you're trying to do some kind of good, but it's godless. There's no sense of devoting that action to a higher being or to some higher reality. Then always that's going to lead to some trouble in your life, even if it's a karanam, not grossly selfish. Karanam, karma, jadapya karanam, even if it's not, like I said, grossly selfish. So here, strongly affirming the unique benefits of devoting one's actions to Krishna, because here the first word in this verse is naishkarmyam, and then we have the word, then later we have the word karma. So it's really talking about action here, and also knowledge, karma and jnana. And of course, karma means action. We all have to act. And jnana means awareness, and unless you're unconscious or in a coma, everyone has some type of consciousness. Everyone has some type of understanding of life. And all of that, whatever you may think about anything, whatever state of consciousness you may be in, whatever thoughts you have, whatever you do, if there's not devotion to the Lord, to the infallible Lord, Achyuta, then it's just not really going to bring you to where you should go, to ultimate happiness, to ultimate understanding, and to the eternal life that everyone really wants. So that's the first verse today. And then the next verse says ato, which means something like, well, that's how Prabhupada translates it, therefore. Ato mahabhaga bhavan amogha drik Shuchi Sarva Satya Rato Dritta Pratak Uru Kramasya Kila Vandhamuktaye Samadhi Nanu Smaratad Vicheshtitam. So Narada, speaking to Vyasa, addresses him here as Mahabhaga, which I'll explain, which is translated as Mahafortunate. Bhaga means a share. And this goes back to the ancient Vedic sacrifices where tremendous benefits came from the Vedic sacrifice, and then those benefits, those rewards would be divided among worthy people. First of all, divided among the gods, the devas, the demigods. And of course, it's related to the word bhaga, as in Bhagavan, opulence. These are related words. So to call someone Mahabhaga, someone has great bhaga, a great share, which means that someone who has, it's a way of saying, we might say in English, someone has received great gifts, or a very gifted person. So someone who has received great gifts in life, whose share, whose allotment has been very great, is called Mahabhaga. And that's what Narada calls Vyasa, that you've received great gifts, Vyasa. That makes you a great person and also gives you great responsibility in life. So he says, Ato Mahabhaga. So Vyasa Bhavan, the respectful form of you, like in many, like Z in German, Usted in Spanish, and so on, Lay in Italian. So Ato Mahabhaga, therefore you, Amoga Drik, who have infallible vision. Moga means something that's not going to work. And the opposite, I'll tell you very quickly, because Krishna, there's a famous verse in the Gita where Krishna talks about people who are not Krishna conscious. He says, Moga Sha, their hopes or aspirations are in vain. Moga Karmana, their activities are in vain, and so on. So the opposite is Amoga. So Moga means vain, fruitless, useless, unsuccessful, unprofitable. That's the word Moga. And that's how Krishna describes the life of someone who's not in spiritual consciousness. The opposite is Amoga, which means unerring, unfailing, not in vain, efficacious, effective, succeeding, hitting the mark, productive. So that's Amoga. And Narada describes Vyasa's vision, Dirk, like Darshana. He describes Vyasa's, he says to Vyasa that you are Mahabhaga, you have great gifts, and your vision is Amoga, unfailing. You know, when you really put your mind to it, you don't make mistakes. And it always has a successful outcome when you really, focus in the right way. So he calls him Amogadrik, and he says, Shuchi Srava. Shrava, like Shravanam or Shruti, of course, means hearing. And so it's also the word which is often used to mean reputation, like, what people hear about you. That's your reputation. So Shuchi, means clean or pure. So you have, Prabhupada translates here, spotless and then famous in the word for word. And then in the translation, he says, your good fame is spotless. And so literally it means what is heard about you. Like, what do people hear about you? All that people hear about you is pure. Shuchi Sarva. Satyarato, which means you are dedicated to, or you delight in, the truth. You are it's like that other name of a famous sage, Satyakama, a lover of truth. So rata in Sanskrit, from the verb ram, actually, which means to take pleasure. That's the source of the word Rama. The word Rama comes from the Sanskrit verb ram. And so rata means delighting in, again, from the root ram, Rama. Delighting in, intent upon, enamored of, devoted or attached to. So he's saying that, Narada's here saying to Vyas, you delight in the truth. You are completely committed to the truth. You're devoted to the truth. When you understand that something is true, then you totally go with it. Complete integrity. Complete integrity. So someone who loves the truth, delights in the truth, devoted to truth, then, we should be like that, actually. So Satyarato Dhritta Vrata. Also Vrata, Vrata means vow. If you take out the R in Vrata, it's like English, a vote, like you're devoted. Think of the word devoted from the Latin devoto. Devoto, devotee means literally devotee. The root means someone who lives by a vow. You've taken a vow, as we do when we're initiated, and you live by that vow. So the English word vote, voti, or all the Latin languages, voto, vow, even the English word vow, all Sanskrit vrata. And drita is from the same verb that gives you the word dharma. So Prabhupada translated dharma, that which sustains, because it comes from the root, which means to sustain. And from the same root of dharma, you have dhara, as in, for example, Krishna is called Giridhari, the one who sustains, who holds up the mountain, Giridhari. Or because Krishna holds a club, he's called Gadadhara. Please don't say Gadadhar, please. So Gada means a club, not Gada. Gada means a club, and Gadadhar means one who holds a club, or Padmadhara, one who holds a lotus, or and so on and so forth. Or Dharma, that which holds up, that which sustains your life. And so here, from that same root, we have Drita, to hold your vow, literally, to hold your vow. So Prabhupada translates this here, Drita Vrata, as fixed in spiritual qualities. It literally means, Narada is saying to Vyas, that you hold your vows, your spiritual vows. And so he says, Uru kramasyakila bandha muktaye samadhi nanu smara tadvicheshtitam. This is a poetic, elaborate Sanskrit sentence, which I'll break down for you. Vicheshtitam means actions, activities. Prabhupada translates it the various pastimes of the Lord. Various comes from the root vicheshtitam. That's a little technical, but anyway, so Prabhupada translates vicheshtitam as the various pastimes of the Lord, tad vicheshtitam, of him, the various pastimes of him, of the Lord. And he's saying samadhina, with samadhi, or by trance, as Prabhupada translates it. In other words, in a state of samadhi, anusmara, think repeatedly, and then describe them, Prabhupada says. So smara, of course, means remember. Smara is the command, remember. And anu can mean two things, which are very important. Anu can mean repeatedly. If you know any, like Spanish, seguir means to follow, and seguidamente in Portuguese also, right? So that's exactly like that. So following can also mean in Sanskrit anu, like a rupa nuga, follower of rupa. So anu means follow, so it can mean follow in the sense of one after the other, or repeatedly, or continuously. Or it can also mean follow, and Prabhupada translates in that way, he says think repeatedly. So the repeatedly is anu, following one after the other repeatedly. Or anu can just mean following. In other words, remember in disciplic succession, by following the other great acharyas, remember, or following what Krishna has taught. So repeatedly remember his various pastimes, and do this in samadhi. In other words, with absolutely full concentration, complete concentration, and do this akila bandha muktaye, for the mukti. Muktaye means for the mukti, for the liberation, bandha, from bondage, akila, of everyone, as Prabhupada translates here very beautifully, universal. Kila, this is interesting, sorry, I like Sanskrit, so you don't have to suffer through this, but kila actually means deficient, or something's missing, or something's left out, in that sense, defective. And so akila means without exception, universal, as Prabhupada says it, akila. And so it can mean for liberation, universal, for the universe, from liberation from all bondage, or universal liberation from bondage of all people, and the tadvicheshtitam, the various pastimes of urukrama. Uru in Sanskrit means wide or great, and krama means a step. I mean, like, to actually take a step. Therefore, there's a famous verse by Rupa Goswami, Ado Shraddha, in the beginning for faith, Tatak Sadhu Sangha, then association with devotees. And then he says, you'll get love of Krishna, Bhavet Kramaha, with this krama. So krama mean a step, like a physical step, walking. I mean, the verb kramatik means to like walking. So therefore, just like in English, it can mean the various steps, like step by step, just like in English and in many languages, paso por paso. So it can mean a step in the sense of a sequence, one thing after the other. But it can also mean, it means originally a physical step. And so this refers to Lord Vamana, who took great steps. So Uru Krama means Krishna who took these great steps. V can mean wide, and Tri means three. So the Lord is called Tri Vikrama. Some people say Trivikram, but we have to live with that. So Tri Vikrama means literally three great steps. Tri Vikrama, or three wide steps, obviously referring to Lord Vamana. Tri Vikrama or Urukrama. So here that word is used to describe God, to describe Krishna, who appears as Vamanadev. So in samadhi, with full concentration, remember repeatedly the pastimes of Urukrama of the Lord for universal liberation from bondage. So that's a beautiful verse. Maybe we'll read one more. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, this is very interesting. We'll stop with this verse. So the first word, first I'll read the verse. Tatonyata kinchana jad vivakshataha pratagdrashas tatkrita rupa nama bhi nakarichit kwapicha dushtita matir leveta vata hatanaur ivaspadam. Very, very interesting verse. So tato, therefore, or from that. Anyata. Anyata literally means otherwise. Anya means other or another, anya. Therefore, pure devotion is often called ananya bhakti, which Prabhupada often translates it unalloyed. Bhakti literally means bhakti that has no other, meaning no other goal, no other object except Krishna, no other purpose except loving service to Krishna. So no other bhakti, ananya bhakti. So here we have anyata. Ta in Sanskrit, tha means the manner in which something is done. For example, in which way, like the way in which you do something is called yata. And so to say in that way is tata. Tata, you've heard these words, tata, yata, 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 yata. I'm sorry, yada, that's another thing, yada. So anyata means in another way, or otherwise. So in any other way but this, that's what it's saying. Tato, from this, which it also means therefore, from this. Tato anyata, any other way but this. Kinchana, whatever. Kinchana, jad vivakshataha, literally, Prabhupada translates it desiring to describe. This is the verb, of course, vach, which means speech. Vak, that's where we get English words like vocal. Vocal, voice, all these English words from the Sanskrit vach or vak, vocal, voice. So this is a what's called the causative form. So vivakshataha means for someone who wants to speak. In other words, and therefore, just like, sorry, but if you know Spanish or Portuguese, in Spanish it's like quiere decir. Someone wants to say something, which is how you say he means. Like you say, like, what do you mean? In Spanish or Portuguese also, isn't it? Quiero decir, quiero decir. Yeah, so in Spanish or Portuguese and other languages, you say like, what do you mean? You say, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? And so Sanskrit actually has that also. So here, whatever you want to say, vivakshataha, meaning whatever you mean, whatever you're trying to say, whatever you mean. So whatever, in any other way, that whatever you're trying to say, if a person is pritag drishas, has a separate vision, drish is vision, pritag means separate or apart. And so separate vision, this is a word used in the Bhagavatam, other places, pritag drishti, a separate vision. And this is something like, well, not something, it's very much like that famous verse where Krishna says, bhayam, the cause of fear, the ultimate cause of all fear, all anxiety, bhaya, is dviti abhinivesha. It comes because the mind becomes absorbed in a second thing, in the sense of first, second, third. So there's only one ultimate reality, which is Krishna, and everything else is part of Krishna. Everything is within Krishna. Krishna is within everything. Everything comes from Krishna. Everything rests upon Krishna. And therefore, if you imagine and really get focused on a so-called second reality, like reality number two, a second reality which is not in Krishna, not resting on Krishna, doesn't come from Krishna, but it's still real. Of course, it's not. That's an illusion. It's that idea of something which is not Krishna that causes all of our fear and anxiety. Because if you understand Vasudeva Sarvam, that Krishna is everything, in the way I've described, as Arjuna says in the Gita, chapter 11, Sarvam Samatnosi, Tatosi Sarvam, you encompass everything, you include everything, therefore you are everything. Arjuna says, Sarvam Samatnosi, Tatosi Sarvam. So if you are trying to describe something or what you mean, what you intend, what you're focusing on is something which is other than this concept of Krishna, then that is pritag drishas. It is a separate vision, separate from reality. You have separated yourself from reality by believing in something that is not Krishna. And so by separating yourself from reality, then tatkrita, that causes a chain reaction. Tatkripa rupa nama bi, then that false idea starts to produce forms and names, rupa and nama, forms and attractive forms and names, so-called attractive, which aren't real. Like, for example, let's say a lusty man sees what he considers to be an attractive female form, and it so what is pritag drishas is seeing, let's say, another body or seeing one's own body as an object of enjoyment. That actually doesn't exist, because every living body is simply Krishna's energy. Every living body houses a soul, and every body is meant to serve Krishna. And so seeing a body, your own body or someone else's body, not as something which is meant to help a soul to serve Krishna, but as an object of enjoyment, or even, encouraging someone else to enjoy their body in some inappropriate way, that is pritag drishas. Your vision has become separated from reality. You're just not seeing reality. And because you're not seeing reality, you will enter into this false world of forms and names, which are all misunderstood, all misapplied, and ultimately cause nothing but trouble. And so in that situation, the Bhagavatam says, na karhi chit, kwapi cha, not at any time and in any place, na karhi chit, like no way and nowhere. That's really what it's saying. Na karhi chit kwapi cha dushtita matir, that badly situated consciousness, literally is what it says. Prabhupada calls it oscillating mind. Dush or dur in Sanskrit means bad or hard. Like you can say like, hard or bad. And stita is situated. And mati, of course, is consciousness or mind. So dushtita matir literally means a badly situated consciousness or mind. So labheta, it can never achieve aspadam, a resting place, just like a knower, a boat. And by the way, from the word knower, we have the word nava in Sanskrit, nava, which is the source of boat, which is where we get words like naval, 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 navigate. That's all Sanskrit nava. And here the root word, anyway, won't go into all the technical grammar, knower, which is nava, boat. So like a boat, which is ahata, which is being struck, battered, just really bashed and struck, vata, by the wind. Vata means vayu, wind. So, I mean, imagine this. This is a very vivid, the word aspada means like a steady place, it can mean a seat, an abode. In other words, like home sweet home. You may travel here and travel there and stay in a hotel and stay in a friend's house till till it's just too much. But when you finally come home, that's where you can rest. So therefore, aspada means like a resting place, a seat, like your place where you can really just be at rest. And so just as a boat that is being struck, and ahata is also a very strong word. Hata can mean killed. I mean, it can mean struck in the sense of a mortal blow, like hata, like someone, like in warrior kshatriya combat, when someone has, killed another person, as the person's dying, they say hatosi, like you're killed. So it's a strong word. Ahata here is translated as, in the dictionary, as struck, beaten, hurt, crushed, destroyed. So just as a boat is being struck, it's being, it can be maybe destroyed by wind, by a hurricane or whatever. So that describes the mind. The mind has no, and so Prabhupada, I'll show you how Prabhupada translates this. Prabhupada translates this, whatever you desire to describe, that's vivakshata, that is separate in vision from the Lord, simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. So imagine this. I mean, talk about seasick. Imagine being on a boat, and of course, the Bhagavatam is not describing some huge luxury, cruiser or something like that. Talking about just a boat that really gets thrown by the wind. And, and caught in the storm, there's no resting place. It never stops for a moment. I mean, not for a moment do you get any rest. You're being thrown this way and that way constantly. And this is the mind. This is the mind which wants to describe something, literature again, or see something which is not Krishna, which is not in Krishna, which is not meant to serve Krishna. So very vivid. So it's contrasting. Remember the verses we read several verses ago about Tadvag Visarga, that literature is meant for a revolution in the impious lives of the world. And then the verse that says that literature, even if wonderfully composed, if it doesn't, Achyuta Bhava Varjita, if it doesn't really glorify Krishna. So it's talking about how we speak, what we read, what we think about, what we talk about, and the absolute importance of talking about, reading about, thinking about Krishna and not material things. That's what sort of ties all these verses together. So that is verse 14, and hopefully next Sunday we'll do verse 15. So let's see. Always, my search for questions, usually don't find any, but as a courtesy here. Okay, here's a question. The age of Kali Yuga attracts living entities who desire to lord it over God's creation. Only entities who are demonic in nature are born in this age? No. Also people who are meant to take advantage of Lord Chaitanya's incredible mercy. Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya appear always in this age in an earth planet, middle planets, not in the lower planets or higher planets. Well, to be honest, although it's the custom to always answer these questions with some idea, but if you look at the Bhagavatam, which actually describes these things, the Bhagavatam talks about the avatars of Krishna. Krishna, of course, always reserves the right to appear in any way he wants. There are some descriptions of Krishna in the Bhagavatam that Krishna appears in other ages. But again, I suggest you look at Veda Base, a good exercise, because if you look these things up in Prabhupada's books, that will be very purifying. So I suggest, as far as the technical details of avatars, I suggest you do a little research, and we should get in the habit of looking things up, actually. It's a good habit. So it is said very often that a person that commits suicide gets a ghost body. Is that scriptural? Another question, another good research topic. What about if the person was a sincere, confused soul that served Krishna sincerely in some period of his life? Yes, the good news here is that Krishna has common sense and Krishna has common decency. Now, in the case, we do have the case of Junior Haridas. Junior Haridas committed suicide because Lord Chaitanya was distancing himself or distancing him because of some incident. Although Junior Haridas, Chota Haridas in Bengali, means that little Haridas, Junior Haridas. And of course, he couldn't live without Lord Chaitanya's association, so he drowned himself and then came back as a type of, you could say, a ghost or ethereal being. Not really as a ghost. He came back. No one could see him but Lord Chaitanya. And so he would always sing for Lord Chaitanya. And of course, without any question, he, very shortly after that, was fully restored to Lord Chaitanya's association. This, of course, was, this whole incident was meant to show how important it is to be strict in the company of the Lord, but to say that every devotee that commits suicide becomes a ghost. Again, Junior Haridas is not really a ghost. No one could see him, but Lord Chaitanya could see him and he could see Lord Chaitanya. I would say that Krishna will do whatever is best for each soul. If a particular soul needs a little bit of punishment to appreciate that, don't destroy your body, it doesn't belong to you, it's government property, don't destroy government property. So people are in different conditions. Some people are suffering in ways that it's hard for us to imagine. So I would say that that if someone, I think, unfortunately takes their own life or destroys their own body, then Krishna will just do what is absolutely best for that soul. It's not about punishment. It's about helping people. Krishna says that Suhridak Sarva Bhutanam, that I'm the well-wishing friend of every living being. The word well-wishing is literally Suhrit, means I have a very good heart toward every living being. And so ultimately Krishna's concern is not just to punish, like, you did that, okay, I'm going to get you now. It's to try to help that person. So whatever is best for that person, to bring that person back to proper consciousness, that's what Krishna will do. How can one raise one's devotional service towards an outstanding standard? Outstanding japa. Outstanding when you serve, just be Krishna conscious. There are many ways to be Krishna conscious: hearing, preaching, glorifying, remembering, serving. So whatever service you're doing, do it seriously. So thank you all very much. Thank you all for your time, and I hope to see you all next Sunday. Hare Krishna.